All right, it is time for the Game Day Huddle. Welcome in. We took a week off. But the reason we took the week off wasn't because we needed the week off. It's because it was a holiday week. And Jay Up wasn't going to be here.
Yeah.
And we figured if Jay's taking a vacation, everyone else should too.
And we had to change the camera. So you guys didn't go live because I wasn't here?
Yes.
Yeah.
Wow.
Absolutely.
I'm honored.
Yeah.
We needed you.
We needed the fantasy expert here for
and then you
fantasy
guys
football championship we had. That's the reason why I lost.
Wait. This last week was fantasy football championship week? Because it's weird. Because in one of the leagues that I was in, it was the week before. And there was no announcement about it or anything. No. It was just, hey, it's a casual
now there has to be
fantasy playoff week. I mean,
if you need an announcement, you never look at it. If you need an announcement for your fantasy playoffs, then you're not paying attention.
Yeah. All right,
That's all I got to say.
I'll tell you what, we got breaking news, but not breaking to our program. But first, Godfather's got his Mystery Pack show coming up. It'll be on New Year's Eve. Make sure you guys go and bookmark the stream, 5 p.m. Pacific. It'll be on the Game Day LV on Whatnot. Mystery Pack show coming in. The Mystery Pack show's been crazy. This is the last one of 2022. I assume you're juicing this one up.
Like always, it's going to be awesome. We'll have some massive cards in there. We will do a promo this week. I'm going to pull a couple cards tomorrow or the next day, and we'll show you the big hitters that are going to be in it. You don't want to miss it.
Yeah, don't miss it, guys. You absolutely
Definitely
do not want to. So make sure you guys go bookmark that. Again, go into YouTube or Whatnot. YouTube. Go into Whatnot and bookmark the stream. It is there for you guys. As I mentioned, breaking news. Not breaking news to us. He's finally gone. He's finally gone. I've been talking about it since week 1.
If you're going to fire him, because we all thought, okay, they're not going to fire him during the season because it's his first year, so we're going to right out this season, fire him in the offseason. If you're going to fire him at this point, why didn't you do it 6 or 7 weeks ago?
Well, I think this score broke the camel's back. The straw that broke the camel's back was losing to the Rams 54 to
that team.
14. That's brutal.
And I don't ever call out a team. That team completely laid down.
That's why.
That team completely laid down. The Rams' offensive line is not even that good.
No.
And did you see the holes that Cam Akers was running through? I was like, come on. He wasn't even getting touched for 6 or 7 yards. I was like,
sell all your Cam Akers stuff.
Sell them, sell all your cards right now. He's never going to do that again.
Plus or minus for the day. Sell Cam Akers in a hurry.
Never going to do that again. I was like, man, look at these gaping holes. It was bad.
Again, I'm on the same thing you are, which is you might as well kept him to the end of the season. Your interim coach coming in is not going to give you enough to be able to determine if he's going to be able to coach or not.
But what if you're the owner and the whole time we're saying he should be fired, right? And then he's like, you know what, I'm just going to wait till the end of the season.
Only thing I can hope for.
But knowing somebody what if the owner just lost it? He's sitting there watching the players lay down. He's like, you know what, I'm done with this guy. I can't take it.
Just hope that there comes a Lane Kiffin story out of this. The fired on the tarmac, before he boarded, or his bags were already checked on another flight, something to that extent.
He was fired at halftime.
I want to hear that stuff. I'll tell you this: they went and they made the big deal for Russell Wilson. We all thought that was a good move for them. They've played horribly this year. He's got receivers. The line, I guess there's some issues with the line, and honestly, I guess Brett Rippon thought there was too.
Quarterback Brett Rippon came over after that sack, went to the offensive line, had words for them and Dalton Risner defending Russell Wilson. Risner right in the middle of it, actually pushed Rippon. And then Cam Sutton just trying to calm everyone down, going up and down the sidelines, but certainly frustration down here on the Broncos sideline.
So apparently, Brett Rippon had some things to say about their play all season, as well as today. It was after a sack of Russell Wilson. And, you make that move because of that. Because when your sideline does that, you have zero control.
They made Baker Mayfield look like he was like Joe Montana in his prime. I was like, I've never seen Baker Mayfield have a game like this ever. The guy just got there a couple weeks ago. So it wasn't just the offensive line; it was the whole damn team. And I like how to Latavius Murray, who was on his couch like 4 weeks ago. He's the guy that steps in. He's like, I was like, Latavius Murray's only been there for a couple weeks.
Yeah, back. Latavius
Yeah,
Murray.
this is his third team this year,
Yeah.
and he's sticking up for Brett Rippon. I don't know.
Yeah, 85% passing for Baker.
Yeah.
Well,
It's
you know,
ridiculous.
and I guess
You're
the
fired.
question comes, and I guess Jimmy, I'll ask you this: Baker now has played 3 games, right? He's won 3 games, and I mean, he came into against the Raiders with 24 hours of a playbook, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then he's put out. I wouldn't say he looked great yesterday, but he didn't look great the week before, but he was good. He was serviceable. He was able to get the ball where he needed to in times.
He's played really bad teams.
And that's the question, right?
Don't get it fooled.
Mm-hmm.
Who they're playing right now is the worst of the worst in the NFL. You're talking about the Oakland or Las Vegas Raiders. I almost call them Oakland because I don't even want to be.
You want to call them
affiliated.
Oakland right now because
Yeah.
you're not happy? Okay. I
Like,
get
that was
it.
a game they had.
I get it.
They had 6 points going into the last 3 minutes of that game or 5 minutes of that game. Don't get it fooled. The Raiders lost that game. He didn't win that game.
Yeah, we'll talk about that in a second. The
Yeah,
Raiders,
yeah.
the Raiders
We'll
game
talk
ended,
about
yeah.
that too. Yeah.
So they played the Raiders. They played the Broncos, and who was the win in between those?
No, it was just those two.
No, they had
Just those
there
two.
was a win in
And
between.
then you come back.
He played
No, I think it was just those two. The Raiders and
Was
the
it?
Broncos.
The Packers.
Packers.
They lost to the
Packers.
Packers.
They lost the Packers.
So
That's
which is
right.
normal.
But he played okay in that game, but not great. My point is, now that you're in the situation with Matthew Stafford,
It's pretty bad.
when you're with Matthew Stafford, is this going to be enough for Baker Mayfield to get more run here, or
He'll never
is
be a
it
starter unless
Stafford
he
come
gets
back and take it over?
If Stafford wants to play next year, he'll be the starting quarterback there.
Yeah, 100%.
Baker Mayfield, I think he's probably earned himself the backup role there, and I think it's something that he might want because he says, "Oh, hey, the team wants me here. People like me." He might
Right.
end up staying for a 1-year deal and see what Stafford does. But no, it's Stafford's team.
Yeah.
He led them to the Super Bowl.
He did.
They won the Super Bowl. He's best friends with the head coach. He's going nowhere.
At
Yeah.
best, he's auditioning for a job next year, whether it be
Right,
back up in
back up
LA or go somewhere else. There's going to be a lot of teams that need a quarterback, and you're going to have some of these rookies that come out that aren't going to be ready to start right away. So Baker's going to be that guy that is going to step in and not play an entire season for you, and you're going to be able to get him at a discount, whether he stays in LA or goes somewhere else. Someone's going to need another quarterback. You know, it's funny talking about Denver too. Denver doesn't even have their first round pick. So what's the point of doing this now? Like, they don't even have their first round pick. Seattle has it, which is the number 3 pick. So Seattle just sitting at home watching this game and cheering for the Rams, even though they hate the Rams because they're in the same division. But they're like, man, pour it on. We have the number 3 pick because of you guys.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah,
of that
what a
Russell
move.
Wilson trade.
When that's all said and done, if Russ never really populates there and does well, that will be one of the most lopsided trades ever.
Right now, it's pretty bad.
Yeah.
It
Not
looks
only
bad.
did you
And Drew Lock is holding a helmet and a clipboard.
Yeah, you guaranteed
And rapping.
him.
Right.
You guaranteed him 165 million. I think is what he got paid.
Yeah.
Plus, you gave up 2 first rounders this year and next year, and a second rounder this year and next year. It's like you literally gave up everything
That's crazy.
to get this guy that he looks washed.
I didn't know he was so weird. Like I
No,
didn't.
he is now. He's like a
But in
weirdo.
Seattle, he wasn't.
Because no, he wasn't as public as it is now.
It wasn't as public,
well,
but
in
now
the Pacific
but
Northwest, it's okay to be weird. So it's a little more accepted there.
but he's weird. Like I didn't know all this stuff about like you have to go through his manager to talk to
I don't think the
him.
Seattle
and-
players are more talkative as the Broncos players are, because like Seattle, he probably did weird stuff, but mostly came out after the players left. They were like, yeah, Russell Wilson was sort of doing this.
Yeah,
Like,
well,
you
that's
didn't
exactly
hear it
it.
as much, but
And when you're
it seems like
winning-
the Broncos put
When you're winning, it's a little different story. A lot of people keep
Right.
their mouth shut and just
Yeah.
go along with their business
Right.
because they're winning games.
you don't want to like upset anything. Just
Now in
we're
Denver,
winning.
they're all losing. They're all like,
Yeah, you got to see this nutcase. They're
Well,
like,
we talked about guys that either have their team or don't have their team. This guy does not have a team. Zach Wilson was not just told that he's not starting. He was once again removed from the active roster and is now on the practice squad for the week. He will not be on the roster for this week, at least, as Joe Flacco will be the backup, not him. And Mike White will be back, and Mike White has been told he will be the starter the rest of the season.
Zach Wilson's time in New York is done. He will not be there next year. They will cut him. sometime this
Don't trade him
off
for
season.
something.
Yeah.
So he'll be
How much of a
surprised.
tank have his cards taken? Because I know that he was
A
still
lot.
They've
like
gone down
It's
75%.
fucking
Yeah.
bad.
down.
It's really
And to
bad.
be honest with you, it's 75% down, but it's not seen the bottom.
No,
It's still on its way.
They're gonna
This
get trashed.
this is so Jamarcus Russell-esque. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, the stats all match up with
And-
Marcus Russell's
And the
first, like,
only
15
thing
starts, too.
I can tell people is this: we sat here last year. I remember we sat here last year, at the end of last season, and we talked about the 21 rookie quarterback class.
Mm-hmm.
We had a discussion, and I specifically recall Jimmy talking about all the other quarterbacks in the class above Zach Wilson, saying if Zach Wilson could put this together, he's athletic, but I don't know if he can. And there and there it is. And people were going all in a year ago on Zach
You
Wilson.
see him? He doesn't seem like a leader. Like a
Well,
quarterback
he's
needs
not.
to.
He wasn't even a leader when he was in BYU.
Yeah.
And they came. He didn't even have
Right.
the captaincy in BYU. So if you're the starting quarterback at BYU and you're not
Oh,
wearing
wow,
the captaincy,
really?
no.
Yeah.
That's
His
bad.
senior year he didn't, or junior year
Whatever,
he did
yeah.
not have it.
He can't make a decision. Like, who was the guy that came in at the very end of that game? Streveler or whatever his name is? Like, the guy...
Shreveler. So
He
about
comes in, all of a sudden,
Shreveler.
he starts moving the offense because he's
He
running.
had 85 total yards.
Special-
He comes in at one drive, 85 yards.
Because-
Special teamer,
yes.
special teamer who
Yeah.
comes in and runs the
Practice
offense.
squad guy. But the fact of the
Weird.
matter is that
Like,
Zach
how does
Wilson,
that happen nowadays?
he runs the ball sometimes, and he was not choosing to run the ball.
Doesn't move at all outside the pocket unless he's.
But he could have. I don't know if that injury...
He's scared. He
He's scared
looks-
because of that injury.
100%.
The injury he
looks
had.
scared.
But you know what might have helped him was his mom going on Twitter today and saying that the fan base in New York is toxic and that no one can succeed there. So that could have helped his shot at a new team.
No one can see.
Besides Mike
Talking
White.
about- No.
Yeah.
Besides Mike White, the
She's
guy
talking
that
about,
Yeah.
She's talking about Jets fans or all of New York?
Jets.
Just Jets fans.
The fan base
She
there.
can't be talking about the Giants.
No.
Man, and they have
I
two
mean,
Super Bowls.
The
in-
fan
we-
base
could
there
we
is
trade-
toxic, and no one can succeed there. is what he said.
Just because of that tweet, and you know I love chaos.
Yeah.
I am so pulling for him to be a Giant next year. It's not even funny.
Oh god, that would be great. If they let Daniel
Just for
Jones
him
walk,
to sit there.
Will never happen.
if they let Daniel Jones walk and they go get Zach Wilson, God, that
Zach
would be
Wilson.
great.
That
like
would be
the
rough.
Panthers or the Falcons or something. Watch, he'll end up somewhere.
He'll be a backup somewhere.
He'll
Nah,
be a backup somewhere.
He'll definitely be a backup
Well,
somewhere. It's just, you see the dumpster
He's
fires
still on a
like this, and you see
contract.
things
Right, so
happen.
he'll be cheap.
Yeah.
He's gonna be
It's,
the next Josh,
you know.
Josh Rosen.
But what do you give for him now? A conditional 6th round pick?
Yeah, but you can get rid
Like,
of that contract.
yeah, but you know what I'm saying? Like, what do you get?
You get
Just
whatever
a lot.
you get whatever you can get.
Yeah.
Right.
You throw them out there, and the first person that offers you, because usually the first
Yeah.
deal is
So
always
what
the
is it,
best
March
deal.
what?
Yeah.
You
What
grab
is
it.
March when free agency starts?
Yeah.
Some
Put it out
someone
there.
will look at him as like, I can fix this kid, and they'll take a chance on him. I guarantee it. He's too young. He's on his rookie
You know,
contract.
you know
He's
who
got
I
too good of an
think
arm.
thinks that?
He's gonna get a ton of chances.
You know who I think thinks that? And with the situation and everything has been? The Cardinals.
No, I think he's going to be here in Las
What
Vegas.
You
if
think
the
he'll be
Cardinals
here?
don't- oh,
I
wow.
think I think
What
they're
does
going
Derek Carr go?
No, Derek Carr will be the starter, and then
Oh,
they'll
he's
put
the
a guy
backup.
like a Zach Wilson in as his backup. Like, it's a good fit for Zach Wilson to sit behind Derek Carr. I don't think we'll see what happens.
Well,
It's
it
gonna
could be.
be
Well,
so
we're gonna
bad.
have that conversation, but
It's gonna be
first,
so bad.
Franco Harris passed away this week. The immaculate catch, obviously, Hall of Famer, and just when you talk about all-time Steelers, I think he's. I mean, I don't
Top
even
five
know.
for
If,
sure.
yeah,
He was supposed to be at the game. He
Yeah.
was supposed to be there to get
his
the
jersey
Like,
was being
how-
retired at the game.
Like, I mean, just how unexpected was that? That was crazy. And I was
Yeah.
even like up at like 4 in the morning. I just happened to be up, and I remember looking at my phone, and I'm like, oh wow,
Yeah.
I'm like, wow, this is gonna be.
And the
stressful
Steelers
tomorrow.
before the game, they all wore
Yeah.
coming in. They all wore his jersey coming in, which, that really showed during the game, like the emotion that they had. Like they were mailed into that game. I would say the Steelers were definitely there to play.
Well, they didn't show up till the fourth quarter, though.
Yeah,
I
but
think
they were
all
there to
stayed in the
play.
locker room until the fourth
You
quarter.
know,
But the Raiders literally gave the game away.
Always.
Like they
Well,
literally
they
gave the
give-
game away.
They give games away every week.
Why would you? I don't understand.
so
And now I was thankful for this because in a couple leagues I was going against Josh Jacobs. But why in the world would you on the first drive they gave him the ball like 5 or 6 carries? They go down, they get a field goal out of it. The whole rest of the game he got like 4 carries.
Yeah.
I was like, what? And then to sit there, and I have Devontae Adams in multiple leagues, to sit there and watch Derek
too.
Carr overthrow him by 10 feet, and I was like, what in the hell is he throwing to? 9 targets to the best receiver, I should say top 3, because I know Justin Jefferson, top 3 receiver in the NFL, 9 targets, he gets 2 catches for 15 yards. What? Like, all of a sudden you're not in sync? All of a sudden?
Well,
what the
that's-
hell's going on?
Yeah, I don't get it.
And
The weather was dreadful there. It was negative.
Is he's not used to cold weather in Fresno?
No. Not -7 with a 30-mile-an-hour wind.
Not that cold.
on.
I mean, it
Nobody
was
been around long
cold.
enough.
Like
Well, Kenny Pickett didn't have a problem.
Right.
he did.
Maybe he should have wore a
Kenny
glove.
Pickett didn't do
He,
dog
was
shit.
he had a QB rating of 81.
He
That's
didn't
not
do
terrible.
dog shit until the fourth quarter. The fourth quarter with like 6 minutes left. Kenny
Well-
Pickett had like 6 passing yards.
Maybe Carr should have wore a glove on his
Derek
right
Carr had
hand.
a 42 QBR.
Well,
quarterback rating.
you know, my
That's terrible.
my thing here is that this really put the
53%.
Raiders back up against the wall,
Do that.
Yeah.
right? Because now the Raiders' back's against the wall. Obviously, they've got a outside crazy shot at the playoffs if they win out, and I mean, I think that this room, them
They
winning
needed
out,
that game. They needed that.
they
game.
needed to win that game. They didn't win that game. That put the Steelers in an odd spot where they have the same type of outside chance to make the playoffs that the Raiders do.
And that makes me mad too because now they flexed next Sunday's game
Yes.
to a Steelers-Ravens game that nobody cares about, and they flex it because they think people want to watch it. No one wants to watch
Because
it.
it has playoff implications.
No one wants
No
to
one
watch
gives
it.
a
It's
shit
literally like
about
whoever
either of
wins
those
that.
two teams.
Whoever
The
wins
Ravens
that
are
goes- I
in the
know.
playoffs already. They already got
Yeah.
a solidified spot, and the Steelers
who do
have
you
an
think they should
outside
flex? I'm
shot.
curious.
And I don't anybody else. I would rather watch Denver for the 7th time.
Really?
And, yeah, because at least they're fighting on the sidelines, Dave.
yeah.
There's
Yeah.
nothing going on in the Steelers and
At
Ravens.
least
Nobody
they're-
cares.
You get the soap opera. All right, I didn't think
At
of
least
that.
Nobody
they're fighting
cares.
on the sideline.
The game's
Makes
gonna be
sense.
6-3, and everyone's gonna sit there and watch it because everyone loves football, and we're gonna be like, man, that was a nice waste of 3
They could've
hours.
flexed the Bears lines.
We're gonna.
I would have rather watched the Bears Lions
But they're just
because at
gonna
least you see
flex
Justin
games that
Fields
have-
and
they're
Jared
just
Goff
doing it
playing.
'cause
At
they
least you get to
playoff.
see two good offenses going down the field scoring.
I just it's gonna be absolutely miserable watching that stupid
Steelers,
game.
Ravens.
Let's do this. So let's put one thing on the record because now that we're talking about the Raiders and all this, I think it's safe to say that none of us believe Josh Jacobs will be a Raider next year.
No, that's why they didn't give him. That's why they didn't
Right.
pick up his option. They're not going to give him.
He's
a massive
played himself
contract
into a massive contract
somewhere else.
right? And
He
it's
will
not
not
going to
be
be with the
Backwards,
Raiders.
Like what? They get treated like shit. It's
Right.
ridiculous.
I agree 100%.
He'll get money at least the
But not
next
from
year
the
or two
Raiders.
from somebody, right?
That's why
Won't
they
be from
didn't
the
pick up his
Raiders.
option. And you know what sucks is
What do you think would pick him up
betting
for
the
a
Raiders
first?
before Franco Harris passed away. That sucked. Because as soon as that happened, I was like, great, that's a guaranteed loss.
Well,
I knew the writing was on the wall.
Yeah, I
Oh, yeah,
lost all
'cause
my
you know-
money on it. I thought for sure that was a one game.
I
And I bet it the day before.
I bet it before he
Yeah.
I
passed.
got it at 2.5.
Yeah,
Well, it
that's
was
what I
at
had.
3. I bought it down to 2.5. I'm like, there's zero chance the Raiders lose this game.
They needed it so
and I
bad.
put
Yeah.
$2,500 on it.
Oh.
And then Franco
and-
Harris passes away, and you're
And
like,
then the
there
whole
it
time I'm
goes.
sitting there thinking like, wow, okay, this is gonna be fun. This should be a good game. They're gonna play. I thought Steelers would play up, and then the Raiders were winning the whole game. I'm like, oh, okay, I got a chance here. I never had a chance.
Never had a chance. Never had a chance.
Never had a chance.
3 interceptions.
On the record,
Carr had. He's terrible.
Here's the question. Well, on that, I want to bring that up.
Oh.
So we'll start with you, Dave.
Yeah.
Is Carr a Raider yet next year? Yes or no?
For the contract, unless they can get somebody to take the entire contract, because like how they did with Amari Cooper, like Dallas. So they only took a 5th round pick because they want to give up the contract. People
Right.
are like, it's all you got was a 5th round pick. Well, because you want them to take the money. That's the whole point.
Right.
So whatever you have to see how much Derek Carr's owed over the next 2 years. I'm gonna guess because then he back in his contract because he knew he was coming to Vegas.
I think
Yeah.
so,
So
yes.
it's-
I thought they signed him for a 3-year extension. Was that
So he's
not
got
true?
like.
So that would be 2 years left then.
Right.
No, I
He's got
thought they
2
just
years.
did it this year.
No, they off his regular right? Is that what they extended?
I think
off?
it was it
I gotta
last
look.
year, I think.
I think he has 2 years left. I think so.
Okay.
He's gonna be a Raider next year.
So
because no one's gonna
you
take
believe
that
he
much
will be?
risk.
You believe he will be?
Absolutely.
Jimmy, you think Carr's a Raider next year?
100%.
All right. So there's the swirling winds, of course, are out there, and the first one is a story that rolls back to last year, and we talk about it all the time. When there's smoke, there's fire, right? Which is there's this. For some reason, it keeps getting brought up. Derek Carr, Aaron Rodgers. Rodgers doesn't want to be there. He's owed a bunch of money. Carr seems like maybe the players are getting a little thin with him now. And it might be an opportunity for the two of them to swap places and maybe both benefit from it. I don't know, but I've now seen 3 or 4 different times that it's been mentioned over the year.
What do you think that benefits the Packers or the Raiders better to swap?
The Raiders.
Right.
I think it benefits the Raiders to win now,
right.
right? Which they're kind of built for that. So I think it definitely helps the
Yeah.
Raiders
No, I
now.
think the Packers are kind of they just-
The Packers could then maybe go
He
into
still
a
got
little bit
Jordan
of
Love.
another
I mean,
build.
still have
Who
Jordan
knows
Love.
what he could still be? You really don't. You don't have
Well,
enough.
what benefit
But if
the
you know
Raiders
you
is
get-
firing Josh McDaniels,
Correct.
that would benefit
Yes,
them, number
absolutely.
one.
Right.
And then number two would be going out and getting Aaron Rodgers, if that was the case.
If Rodgers comes available, every single team in the NFL should be trying to get him.
Of course.
Unless you're
How do you
the
not?
unless you're the Chiefs or the Bills.
Yeah.
I think every other
But the
team,
Raiders sit in a
you're not
position
saying, like,
that
you should go
could
get
actually
Aaron
happen
Rodgers.
because they could move a quarterback that would be very good, and they would also then have to
The
give
only way-
something up
yes.
for Aaron Rodgers to them, which they have a little bit of
For the
draft
Packers,
capital.
If Aaron Rodgers comes to him and says, "I want out. There's nothing that's going to make me stay here any longer." Yes, you're 100% that the Raiders probably had the best trading pieces for them.
Yeah.
Because they have Derek Carr, which, yes, he's not been great, but he's a serviceable. He's a top 15 quarterback in the league.
Yeah.
At least you get something for Aaron Rodgers.
I'm
rather
sure
than
Adams
getting
would be
nothing.
pumped
Oh, Adams
to have. Please give me a quarterback that actually hit me.
Oh my God! Can you imagine if he played with all those weapons?
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like that's why Rodgers is having a down year
Sure,
this year
Renfro would
because
have
his
110 catches.
age and because he's working with a bunch of rookies. And I'm not saying they're not gonna be good,
No.
but they're not there yet. You
Well,
have
he's
guys-
made Christian Watson a star. Christian Watson
Right.
was not on anybody's radar to start the season.
and unless you're in dynasty leagues, then he was on everybody's radar.
But you know what? He wasn't in. He was there
Yeah,
because
I think
Aaron
we got him too,
Rodgers,
like-
not because people thought that Christian Watson was going to be a standout receiver, and the kid's a standout receiver now.
I actually liked Watson quite a bit, and when he went to Green Bay, I liked him even more. He ended up going in the first round in
Who's
every
the guy that just came back? That
Romeo Dobbs.
Romeo
Romeo
Dobbs.
Yeah,
He's good.
He
He's
was
good.
their first
He's just
round
banged
pick.
up.
But he's not a number one guy. He drops a lot of passes. He's not a number one guy. But if you had that full array and you had say these guys were like in their third year,
Yeah.
they would be really good with Rodgers right now with those guys in their third year. They're all rookies. Samari Torrey is a rookie wide receiver who's decent. He played a little bit this year, and then Romeo Dobbs and Christian Watson, and then
And they
you
have a
obviously have
second
Cobb
year.
there.
And they had
Who's
another
the other guy
receiver
that
too.
drops the ball every time he tries to catch it?
They got rid of him. Amari Rodgers.
No,
They got rid of him.
there's another guy that he plays for Green Bay.
Mm-hmm.
He's a starting wide receiver.
Cobb?
No,
It's Christian
Lazard?
Watson,
Alan
Lazard,
Oh,
Alan
Lazard.
Lazard.
it's not Lazard either.
Lazard,
Well,
Romeo
just named
Dobbs.
everybody on the team.
Romeo
Yeah.
Dobbs drops it every time he comes to him. Seems like.
No, because this guy cost me $1,500 because I had Aaron Rodgers over 250 passing yards.
Yeah,
And guess how many he had?
What game is this?
249.
244. And he dropped a 17 yard
Who is that?
right in the
Now
middle
I'm
of the
curious
field,
to know who this is.
going straight down the middle of the field.
We've named
for
every
seven-
receiver.
I know.
No,
I mean-
you didn't. I'm telling you didn't.
Lazard,
Okay.
Cobb.
Was it maybe a run?
Romeo
Lazard,
Dobbs.
Watson,
It's a
Dobbs,
wide receiver.
Mercedes Lewis, Tanyan.
No.
That's a tight end. Lewis is a tight end.
That's a running back. Cobb.
Maybe it was Lazard.
I think it's Lazard.
Lazard also
Does
caught a
Lazard
big
drop?
touchdown too.
Well, he had 11 targets, only caught 5 of them. So
Yes,
I'm gonna
that's him.
Yeah.
That's the guy.
That's the guy. There he
The guy
is.
that dropped
Guilty.
every single pass that hit him right in the chest. He just would drop
That'd
it.
be Alan Lazard.
I knew there was
He had 11
somebody.
targets. He only caught 5.
He's
He's
said
not a
guilty.
number one either, though.
Yeah.
Like he's like the de facto number one.
No kidding, he's not a number one. If Aaron
He's got
Rodgers
nobody to throw
hits you in
to.
the chest
Yeah.
11 times and you only catch 5 balls,
Yeah.
God, I wish Devontae
So-
Adams hit in the chest 9 times in that game.
Right.
He would have it.
So Packers go out. They beat the Dolphins. Tua has not looked good the last 3 weeks in comparison to how he started the season. Their offense looks a little out of sorts. And this Packers team is now in the playoff discussion that we didn't think they were going to be in
so
because
annoying.
they're such a lead in the division from Minnesota. And now with the Commanders just falling off the last 3 weeks as well, like coupled with Green Bay putting together a couple of wins, and they've got a couple of games coming up that they should be in the game.
They're winnable games.
They're
very
winnable.
games.
That they could back end themselves into the playoffs. And we got another team that could do that too, which is also Carolina. So I wanted to talk about that a little bit. You got 2 teams that potentially could backdoor themselves into the playoffs.
Green Bay's going to make the playoffs, I think.
I hate
Detroit
that.
needed to win that game against Carolina. I think that was their shot.
I just don't want to see Aaron Rodgers in the playoffs again, being in Dallas. I can't take
No,
it.
you're going to
Every
see
time
that,
Aaron
and you're going to see
Rodgers is
Tampa
in the
Bay.
playoffs,
Tampa
I
Bay's
can't
going to beat Dallas in the first round, Dave.
I don't-
Like
I'd
we've
rather
seen this
play-
movie
I'd rather
before.
play Tampa Bay than Green Bay.
I'm just saying, like you know, the writing's on the wall. It's good for ratings. NFL loves it, so they're going to do whatever they can to get these guys in the
Here's
playoffs.
the Cowboy fans.
Last
Already-
week, hey, look,
already
look,
put it out
how good is this game going to be? Detroit versus the Packers the last week.
Wow.
They should-
That's going to
man,
be
That-
should
I mean,
be-
that'll be a
that should
big
flexed
game.
out. But
If that comes down to it, that's
That should be
great.
flexed out.
speaking of the
Should.
Dolphins game against the Packers team you're talking about right now, did you see that Tua's back in the concussion protocol?
He looked like he got hit.
Okay, he already had 2 concussions this year, right? And he had to sit that second time for multiple weeks. And they say that once you get a concussion, it's easier to get the second, and then
Yeah.
it's a lot easier to get the third, and so on and so forth, to a point to now where he's got his 3rd concussion in 1 year, right? 3rd concussion.
Yeah.
And it happened, they went back and looked at the game tape. There was one tackle. It wasn't a bad hit. It was actually like a real tackle, but they got him from behind, and his knees hit, and then when his head went down, it's like his head bounced off the ground. That's when they think it happened. He never came out of the game. It was 20-10 at that point. And then you kind of saw him in the 4th quarter look a little shaky, and he threw interceptions on 3 consecutive possessions. And everyone's like, what the hell is he looking at? Because even I was like, who the hell is he throwing it to? There wasn't even anybody in the area.
Yeah, the one DB just dropped back, but he threw it
Right to him.
Like, it
So,
wasn't even difficult.
3 interceptions in a row on three possessions in a row, and now they're saying that he's in the concussion protocol. Like, that's actual fact. He's in the concussion protocol. So what's the deal with Tua going forward? Like, it's just going to be easier and easier and easier every time he gets a hard hit. It's like concussion, he's out again. Like, how long is he gonna?
So they're going to make the playoffs. If they're
Right.
smart, they sit his ass down now and wait until the playoffs.
You think they definitely make the playoffs?
Are they locked into where he can
No.
sit and they lose 2 in a row and then they still make it, or no?
It
Right
doesn't
now,
matter if he's not
Well,
going to
it-
make a
it-
run with you anyways.
They're 8-7. They're at the last wild card spot.
And their backup is
New
Teddy
England.
Bridgewater, isn't it?
Yeah.
Okay, he's a serviceable backup.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's Bridgewater.
Yeah,
He's
he
a
came
serviceable
in early,
backup.
Yeah.
New England's right there. The Jets are probably done. Tennessee's, I don't know how.
I don't know. The Jets might not be done because Mike White's back, and he was throwing 350 yards when he was in the.
Yeah.
I mean,
Maybe.
and
you're
I
right.
think
Maybe
that do
you're
they
right.
play each other? I know
wanna
that
see
they
right
have.
now.
I know they have at least
Last
one
2
more
games for
AFC
Miami is
East
New England and then the Jets.
and the Jets, right? I thought so.
Man,
I
the
thought
last
they
2
played.
games are gonna be great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is gonna be nuts.
So those are those are basically
They need to win.
Dolphins have to win one of the 2, I believe.
They have to win.
to-
Yeah.
How the hell do you not flex that?
Be in the playoffs ahead of either of those teams.
This is gonna be a great finish, and like I said,
It is, and there's a lot of like crazy playoff implications because you have even though they went and won last night, right? And I know you're talking about the Bucks are gonna the next 2 games for Carolina are New Orleans
Flex that game instead.
and the Buccaneers.
and they should win those 2.
And if Carolina goes and wins those 2 games, they will actually win the division. All they do is win out and they win the division.
Love it.
Think about this
You
for a
gotta root
minute.
that.
You have the absolute train wreck that started the season, that they had no idea what they were going to do at quarterback. Then they went and got Baker Mayfield. Then that became an absolute debacle. They drafted, a quarterback. He gets hurt.
They fired their coach mid-season.
They
didn't
fired their coach in the middle of the
He's already coaching out
season.
of college somewhere.
Yeah.
Right. Fired their coach in the middle of the
Another job
season.
already.
Sam Darnold
Yeah.
comes back.
Looks pretty good though.
Then
Right?
they have hold on. Then they have
McCaffrey.
what was the other quarterback?
PJ Walker.
PJ Walker was in there playing
Basketball
quarterback for
player
them.
the Hornets.
He played.
And yeah, exactly. And then he gets overtaken by Darnold, and they jettison Baker Mayfield. I mean, this could be single-handedly the most incredible playoff possibility. If they make the playoffs,
They traded McCaffrey.
it is the most
they traded McCaffrey
crazy
in the
thing
middle of
you've
the season,
ever
too,
seen.
which
If
is
you think
nuts.
about this,
Like you trade away.
that is 4 quarterbacks
Yeah.
issues, coach gone, and
star
your
running
star running back is gone.
But the
And your
Packers always-
best wide receiver, you let go to Philadelphia before the season starts.
Oh, and didn't they?
That's
AJ
Tennessee.
Brown.
What? No,
Oh,
no,
I thought
no,
that's who
no.
we
But
were
they
talking
had
about.
Robbie
Oh,
Anderson.
Panthers.
Robbie Anderson. They got rid of
He
too.
disappeared in Arizona.
Right?
Though.
But the Panthers always had a good defense. So that
The Panthers always had a good defense, and what scares me about them though is they have a really good running game, dude. Both their running backs went for over 100 yards this last week, and I know it was against the Lions, but they had Dante Foreman ran for like 140 yards,
Yeah.
and then even Hubbard ran for over 100
So who
yards.
would you rather play, the Panthers or the Bucs?
It depends on what
Jesus.
Dallas can do, because right now
You're
Dallas
all
is
over the
built.
place.
Dallas is built to stop the run, right? That's why we went out and got these guys because of the way San Francisco embarrassed us last year, and then now we have all these injuries at corner.
Is
So,
that why everybody
you're gonna
keeps
have
putting
Tom
up
Brady-
like 30 points against you guys?
Yeah, we're down to like our fourth
Yeah,
string
we put up
corner.
30 points and
We have
everybody's
Trayvon Diggs, who no one throws at, and then
The
some
Eagles
guy.
are the number 2 defense.
some
They
guy
got
used to work at a
trounced
grocery
this week.
store.
Trounced. Shitty ass defense, my ass. I got a better chance
You
of
guys are
covering
gonna
CeeDee
be-
Lamb.
I can't wait for the first week of the playoffs. Oh my god.
So
Why? We already know what's going to happen.
Yeah, we're already
So we
hitting it.
have these crazy playoff scenarios out there. We've got stuff coming up. You got the Chargers tonight. Colts made a change at quarterback. Matt Ryan sat down a second time this season. I think it's probably safe to say we'll expect a retirement from him at the end of the year. I don't see him playing another year and holding a clipboard. He's not that type of guy.
Matt Ryan's done.
He will, if he had a guaranteed paycheck there, he'd still probably retire. I think Matt Ryan is just probably done. Which, nice run, good player. We had a debate the other day here in the shop on whether he was a Hall of Famer or not. I said probably when the veteran committee gets into it, but probably not through voting, but maybe. His numbers are good. His numbers are kind of rival Stafford in a way, where he's got a lot of passing yards, a lot of completions, a bunch of touchdowns. But again, he's not, and he's going to be known for these games.
I just feel like
Largest loss in the Super Bowl, largest loss ever in the...
It depends on who comes out with him, basically. Like, if there's nobody else in that class, then maybe. But otherwise, if there's other big names, I don't think he makes it. I think it's too easy.
Well, if he retires this year, I don't know who else is going to retire this year that's going to take away like his first year of eligibility. I don't think that matters. I don't think he gets in first year eligible if he's the only guy.
Well, Tom Brady.
All right. Is Brady retiring this year?
Did you guys see Tom Brady tell everybody Merry Christmas last night except for Giselle?
No.
On the post game? You didn't see that? I listened to that.
You did.
He literally was like talking to whatever announcer at the very end of the game, and he was like, "I just want to say Merry Christmas to my parents and my kids who are at home." And then he said somebody else, not Giselle, and then he was like, he goes, "Merry Christmas to everybody."
Except for Jim.
I was like, "Yikes!" I was like, "Not Giselle, not Giselle."
Did you see his new Instagram model girlfriend?
The one that was coming at him so hard? Is that for real? They're on?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So he's gonna have so much thrown at him. That you can
I know, but she was shooting her shot like the second day it got
There's gonna
posted.
be thousands of shooting their shot. Like, crazy.
Yeah, I saw her.
shooting their shot when he was married.
She's right up our alley.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah,
She's no
straight.
Libby Dunn though.
So, lots of playoff implications coming up. We will, of course, circle back to that. Right now, though, it is time for us to get into the fantasy portion of the program, where Jay's going to talk just a little bit about fantasy.
Basketball.
He's going to give us a lot of information
Basketball.
about how to run a league right now. So we're excited to have Jay. Let us know. I'm just joking, Jay. I'm just giving you a hard time.
Your fantasy football playoffs were either last week or they're this coming week. So, like, as far as talking about guys to go pick up, it's pretty barren out there. There's not going to be some game winner that's sitting on waiver wires right now. The only thing I can say is if any of your injuries happen to your championship team, go out and find a backup. Like, obviously what happened with Jalen Hurts last week. People that own Jalen Hurts, they were probably either the number 1 seed or the number 2 seed in their leagues. And then all of a sudden Hurts gets put on the shelf.
And I have to start Tom Brady, and I lose.
Right, that's what I'm saying. So in a case like that, you want to go out and get like Gardner Minshew.
He wasn't available.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So some people went out and picked him up earlier, knowing that he was going to sit. So it's a very slippery slope.
We haven't talked about Minshew. Where does he start? He's a starting quarterback in this league.
I don't think he is.
He's not?
No.
The way he looks is
You
incredible.
mean to tell me he can't start on any of his teams now?
I don't think he's going to start because you got to remember when he was in Jacksonville, he looked
What about
good.
with the Dolphins?
He was just he's very up and down. He was for me, he's very up and down.
Oh yeah.
He
I'm
looked
not saying
good.
he's like-
He looked good this last week because I think that's a perfect offense for him. I think that was a great he
got a
literally
lot of
stepped
weapons,
right
too.
in, right? And they didn't have to change anything. Like, he just stepped right in. They didn't change the playbook. They're like, here you go. You give him A.J. Brown. You give him Devontae Smith. You give him 2 good running backs.
Yeah.
And your tight end coming back, Dallas
He's got a
Goedert.
Great offensive line.
And they chewed up Dallas. I think that it's a system. It's not like Gardner Minshew is going to kill it every single week.
Right.
But you got to remember,
Back.
the Eagles played a super soft schedule this year. So, I mean,
You
what
know
do
what?
they have left?
Do you know what team I would think that
Giants.
if
They'll fill the
Minshew was
Giants.
on the move, would be the Saints? I think he would be a good fit
play the Saints
in New Orleans. He would be a good fit in New Orleans
The Saints
with
and the
that
Giants.
receiver set that's there, because he's got some guys that he doesn't have to throw them open. Some of those guys can get themselves open.
What
themselves.
receiver set are you talking about, though?
Well,
Just
if
Chris
they're
Olave?
if they're healthy.
Michael
Sorry.
Thomas is washed up. He's
Not
never
healthy,
coming back.
right?
I've given up on Michael Thomas.
You think he's done?
And Jarvis Landry is also washed up. Do you know Jarvis Landry's been playing the last few weeks? Except for this last week, he won the IR. Like, he's been playing.
Yeah.
No one's heard of him.
Did you know he's been playing?
Yeah.
No.
No one knew.
The tight end was it
Juwan Johnson.
He's got like 7-8 touchdowns.
Right. Because there's no one else to throw to. Because Olave was hurt.
Taysom Hill.
Right.
Yeah.
When Taysom Hill is your best player, there's no weapons there. Alvin Kamara is getting towards the end where it's like, is he still a star or is he going to be like washed up? He may still have a year left, but he's at that running back age where he's like 26 going on 27. So you just don't know.
I know, right? It's so crazy to think that
maybe
that's
another
the
good
case.
year. But so we'll switch gears to basketball here. Just a couple of names. A couple of guys I was surprised to see that are less than 25% owned. I don't like to go for guys that are like 60 or 70% owned in leagues, but in ESPN leagues, Austin Reeves, he plays guard and forward for the Lakers. He's only 21% owned right now. Dennis Schroeder also, guard for the Lakers, 24% owned. This guy I was kind of surprised about. Emmanuel Quickley for the Knicks, 24% owned. Like he's still available in a lot of leagues. And then Aaron Nesmith, guard forward out of Indianapolis, 19% owned. These are guys that you can go pick up. What I like to do, and obviously I didn't go through every single team, but when you're going on the waiver wire and you're picking up guys like this, look to see how many games they have. Because sometimes there's teams that play 4 times in a week. Those are the guys you make your priority. And then the guys that only play 2 games in a week, those can be the lesser guys unless there's an injury you're replacing. But make sure you go out there, especially in basketball, because you're setting your lineup for the whole week. And you got to make sure that those guys are getting at least 3 games in. The guys that give you 4 games, that's huge, especially when you're talking about all the categories like steals, rebounds, assists. So go out and make sure you look at that before you go pick up just a random guy off the waiver wire.
Well, when you know your rosters too, like, and you know situations, like Reeves' situation purely falls because Anthony Davis is hurt.
Correct.
So because he's hurt, Reeves is getting more playing time, and if you can get ahead of that, you can. A lot of times you can find that with your 6th man in basketball. You can pull him off. Someone may not have their eye, especially when it's a team that plays like, the Pacers or something like that. The thumb's not on top of all the time.
Right.
So, basketball, interesting. You had the Christmas Day games, which got way overshadowed by the NFL. I think
Poor basketball.
Because
they've owned Christmas the last few years.
This just happened to fall.
The only thing the NBA comes away with is it'll be 6 more years before it happens again.
Poor NBA, because they had no shot. Even the NFL was like, you know what, we'll put like 80% of our games on Saturday. How about that? We'll just put 3 games on. And then it just annihilated every basketball. Like, no one even cared.
No one even watched basketball.
I know. And they put key matchups in there. Like, they had Lakers and Mavs.
So you got a couple.
Lakers got
You got a couple things going on in the NBA real quick to talk about. One is there's starting to be this comparison between Jordan Poole and Ja Morant. And I just don't see it, because I don't know that I could take Jordan Poole and make him run the Grizzlies team like Ja Morant runs that team. I don't know that he can.
Who's saying that?
You're starting to see it, because now there's these comparison stats in games against each other and all this stuff. There's discussion about that. And then the other thing that's kind of surprising to me is that quietly, and I don't know how he does this, because he's never been quietly, because he's got 850, fake accounts on Twitter. Kevin Durant has quietly moved himself into the MVP discussion this year. He's playing incredibly well, and they're actually like doing some things. And there's this discussion that they're going to move Harden already.
Yeah, back to Houston.
Back to Houston. Sounds like that's where he wants to go.
Where he wanted to be out of.
Yeah. That he wanted to be out of.
So
dumb. They got to play the game like the White Elf. You're not allowed to move 3 times.
But
stop. Stay still.
That's the funniest thing I think I've ever heard.
Why would you want to go back to the team that you said you didn't want it out of?
I don't know who likes anybody in the NBA. I still can't figure it out. This guy don't like this guy. This guy don't, and they wind up going back to the same team.
Right.
I don't understand the NBA at all.
Or they like them and they bring them over to play with them, and then they hate them.
Yeah.
Like the case with Russell Westbrook.
Right.
Yeah, and they're like,
LeBron wants them, and now all of a sudden he doesn't want them. It's
No,
like,
he
well, make up your mind.
comes over, they know he can't shoot, and they're giving him a hard time for it. Like, he can't shoot. He sucks. Like, why are you having him shoot still?
Right.
It's so annoying.
I don't get the NBA either. The NBA needs a fix. It's a lot of, I don't know. It's a lot of prima donnas. But
the NBA is exciting to watch, especially during the playoffs. It's one of the best things to watch. It's great. But usually, like days like this, like you're saying, like Sunday.
How can we get Luka Doncic another star? That's all I care about.
Yeah, that's a good
Well, and that's that they screwed the pooch this year with that. They had every opportunity to make a couple of different moves, And they didn't even get in that, and it blows my mind. And the only thing I can think is that the evil genius, that's what you got to think of their owner, right? The evil genius over there, I think he's up to something to try to get the number 1 pick this year. I think he's going to try to make a move.
To move up?
To move into
Luka's only 23,
positions
right?
with...
23,
Yeah.
Even though he's been playing since he was like a 13-year-old.
because he was.
Yeah.
But the point to that is that he's going to have two different. I saw the other day they said he's gonna waste 2 generational talents. Like he had Dirk Nowitzki, and couldn't really build a superstar team. They had that one, the one run at the title.
One team with Nash and
they had 2 runs in the title.
They
lost
have,
to the Heat.
The Spurs and the Lakers were very good at the time,
Right.
and the Utah, so they always ran into them.
But they should have beaten the Heat the one year.
With that late 3 by
Ray
Allen.
Well,
they had that game won.
Well, that was
Not only that, but
right?
that was the Heat in the finals. They lost. They lost to the Heat.
They lost to the Mavericks. The Heat.
No.
In the finals. No, you know, 2004, right?
Yeah, I'm talking about the first time they played.
Oh, Shaq was on the team.
Shaq was on the team at that time, but but that was the one. If you remember, I think Dallas was up 3 games to none or 2 games to none, and then the next game, Dwayne Wade got 29 free throws. Not the team.
Right.
Dwayne Wade got 29 free throws.
4 in a row, I
yeah.
think. Yeah. So it was 4-2-5. I know what you're talking about.
But they wasted that. They wasted Dirk Nowitzki, who was one of the greats, and now they're going to waste Luka, who's who's a great player in the NBA because he has no supporting cast. But it's like
had a nice year too.
It can't be Cuban's fault because I don't know why people don't want to play for Dallas because everything you hear out of that camp is that he takes care of it. Dude, Cuban's got PlayStations in everybody's lockers.
I will tell you what it is. And Mark Cuban, if you're listening, here, free advice for you.
Oh boy, here we go.
You ready?
Here we go.
They need to.
This is not game day, folks.
They need to re-image the team. The logo and the branding, because the logo and the branding is not on point to where people are interested in wearing it, like the Cowboys or any of these brands that stand out.
And then people
need to rebrand, because the cool thing now is that if the logo looks cool, the shoe deal is a little bit better. You know what I'm saying? And I'm telling you, it's. I mean, I don't know if it's the worst of the logos in the league at this point, but it's not a great logo. It's not.
This is a hot take.
It is. Absolutely. Take this one down. I honestly believe that the younger player now pays attention to that stuff, whereas I don't think.
I don't think
we did anymore.
That we can correlate this.
As far as fanfare goes, it would be.
But I'm talking about free agents, not guys that are.
I know, but free agents will look at that. It's crazy as it is.
Worst looking jerseys ever in the history of sports.
What about the Pacers? The Pacers suck.
Yeah, but the Spurs are drafting everybody in.
Yeah, but I don't know, man. I don't know if it has anything to do with that.
They were running on. I know
they drafted the one creeper this year.
They definitely need something. Nobody's excited about Dallas Maverick basketball.
Nope.
And it's sad because we're gonna sit here and watch Luka run down the prime of his life.
Yeah.
And
but who
probably
wouldn't
number
want to play
1 or
with
number
Luka?
2
People don't want to play with him?
No, they do.
I know, but what the hell? They don't have the cap space.
Jalen Brunson left, and they could have paid the money that Jalen Brunson got with the Knicks.
Yeah, but
they could have afforded that.
But that's not putting a star.
They didn't.
They didn't pay him as much. They didn't pay. Did they match the Broncos?
That's not putting a star with him, though.
What do we got to do to get Jokic to Dallas?
Oh, I mean, that would be huge.
He ain't leaving.
Yeah.
Whatever we have to do.
King in Denver.
Who cares? He'll be the king in Dallas. Put those two on the same.
If you had
Jokic
and Luka Doncic would be.
Oh my God.
Yeah,
it'd be incredible to watch. Just the passes that Jokic would hit Luka with would be incredible. Every single night we'd be like, what's he gonna do next?
Yeah, that would be
Jokic
nice.
was amazing last night again.
I think
he's
unbelievable,
dude. He does everything,
so good.
dude. Back-to-back MVPs, he does everything. Yeah. That guy's just unreal. But they're gonna waste Luka's talent by just having these middling teams that barely make the playoffs. And they made a nice run last year, but it's
I mean, the hobby needed that run last year, but again, it's one of those things. Now, if they do, I will say this: if they do get a superstar over there, they get another superstar on that team, people will be all over the Mavericks. It'll be nuts.
Yeah,
just because of that. But Mark Cuban's gonna have to figure out how he's gonna get someone else in town, and he's gonna have to figure it out quickly because otherwise he's wasting the time that Luka has.
He's 24.
Luka will want to leave.
Yeah, but he could be 26 in 2 years if they don't get something going. You see what I'm saying? It is. It is. He's got a little bit more time.
He's been playing for a lot. He's been playing against these
guys. Time for plus or minus. We're going to talk about a little bit of sports investing and stuff. And actually, This today has something to do with a trade that went down in Major League Baseball this week. I want to talk to you guys about this. So Dalton Varsho was traded by the Diamondbacks. He caught some games last year, primarily played in the outfield for Gurriel and Gabriel Moreno, the star prospect catcher for the Blue Jays. I'm trying to wrap my head around this deal as to what the Blue Jays were doing getting Dalton Varsho except to put him in the outfield. Mm-hmm. But I have a third question to this, and the third question is, what are the Cubs doing? Because if this deal was done with Dalton Varsho as the centerpiece by the Diamondbacks, the Cubs have 6 shortstops, 4 or 5 outfielders. They just signed Cody Bellinger, right? Seiya Suzuki's not going anywhere. So they've got outfield pieces.
2 years for the big.
But what are you doing when they could have went out and they could have got Gabriel Moreno in this deal, which is one of the top hitting catching prospects in years? You have 2 of them coming up this year. You got Alvarez and you got him, and the 2 of them are damn near spitting images of each other. They both hit bombs. They both can play the position. I just don't understand how a team like the Diamondbacks can make a deal. I feel like the Diamondbacks stole from the Blue Jays in this deal.
Well, it seems like the Blue Jays are trying to get rid of money because they know they have to play Vladimir Guerrero Jr. this year. They have to pay Bo Bichette this year. Their big name guys are all
and they just paid Kevin Biggio, right?
Biggio too, yeah.
So their big name guys are all about to get their big contracts, and
Alejandro Kirk is going to go to arbitration next year because he's all-star catcher, right?
So now you're looking at these, and it's Toronto. Right? It's not like it's New York or LA or where they don't mind. Look what the Mets are doing. They spent already $1 billion in the offseason. They're not Toronto's not that type of team. So if they see somebody writing on the wall, hey, this guy's going to cost this much money next year or the year after, we better try to get something out of them because we're not going to be able to keep everybody.
But my thing is that there's teams like the Cubs that are loaded with assets
and money,
and
the Cubs have money.
could use a catcher.
Yeah.
Right? Perfect opportunity to do something there. And how are they not even? Why isn't there not even a discussion about this? I just don't understand it. It blows my mind. But what I wanted to talk about on the plus or minus portion of this was if you were investing at a Gabriel Moreno prior to this, I would back off. And the reason being is because he is now going to Arizona. He is not going to be playing as big as spotlight games as he would have been when he goes 13 times to Boston, 13 times even to Baltimore, right? 13 times to New York. Mm-hmm. He's not going to be playing those games now. We've seen this happen in the past where a big name prospect gets moved to a team like Arizona that just doesn't do enough to really promote their stars and get their superstars pub. And you've already got kids there that are going to pull a little bit of that. They're going to run with this core. I love the move for the Diamondbacks as a team because their young core is really good. Seth Beer can play, right? We all know that Corbin Carroll is going to be a star for that team. They've got pieces in place, and now you bring in a catcher that probably could solidify the backstop position for them for the next 6 to 8 years. I think overall, it's a really good move for them. I just don't know that the hobby side of it is going to benefit well. And on the flip side, with Dalton Varsho, I didn't think he was an investment piece before. I still don't think he's an investment piece now. And in fact, a lot of times when an outfielder ends up going to Toronto, I don't care how good and how big and what name he's had, ask George Springer, he disappears. They disappear there. There's 2 guys on that team. Alejandro Kirk is an all-star that hit 300.
No one talks about
And
him.
I could go out and poll people who walk into the shop and ask them who the Blue Jays catcher is, and half the people would have no idea.
Kiermaier, too, is in the outfield.
Right.
So you got him, Springer, and Ambrose. They're going to
Right.
outfield.
So they'll have a good outfield.
They're going to have a good outfield, and they're going to be good defensively because
they
their
already
pitchers.
have 2 catchers, too, so now you have 3 catchers.
Well, no, the Varsho, I bet you he barely plays catcher.
He's not going to catch.
Varsho won't
That's what I'm
catch.
saying,
He's
but
going
you
to play outfield.
But he only
you
needs
trade a top prospect catcher because you already have 2 of them.
in fantasy.
Maybe
You
they're happy with
play
Kirk. It won't
fantasy
cost them as
baseball,
much
right?
money to keep either. Maybe that. Like Jimmy was saying, Blue Jays are going to be.
How do you move Kirk
Right.
when he's still in a rookie deal? How you going to move Kirk
And you got Jensen
to make
too,
room
right?
for and they have Jensen.
so-
Why are you going to make room for him? One of the two of them would DH, probably Moreno. So I understand them moving him. I'm not mad at the Blue Jays for moving Moreno as much as I am about it was the Diamondbacks that got him.
Yeah.
And I'm sitting there and going, well, the Giants had an up and down situation with Joey Bart. They're a team that needed to make a splash. How are they not involved in this discussion? Right? The Cubs absolutely couldn't miss.
Maybe the Blue
right?
Jays gave up more. I mean, they did give up, and then maybe the Diamondbacks wanted.
But the Diamondbacks sent him Dalton Varsho and a couple of back end, 8 to 10 prospects, right? Nothing that solidifies that move. It just doesn't. I'm blown away that I think it's a bad move by the Blue Jays. And a couple years from now, we're going to look at it and we're going to be like, how lopsided was that deal that the Blue Jays did with Dalton Varsho? Like,
Both teams always do the best deals either. So
they don't.
Well, I mean, you don't talk about Carlos Correa at all? He's on like his third deal.
No, and we were going to discuss that too. Because that was my next thing I want to talk about was the Carlos Correa situation.
Another physical after the physical.
I was when he was signing with the Giants, my thought was this is going to be really good for his hobby. Like because even as an Astro, he didn't generate much interest from the hobby side.
Wasn't good for Brandon Crawford.
Right? And then, but Brandon Crawford also doesn't hit the home runs and doesn't, you know what I mean? He's not that player. Carlos Correa is an exciting player, right? Yeah. He's an exciting player.
But that's what sucks is when that deal falls through. Right. Now they're like, oh, Brandon, we liked you. You're still here,
welcome back, Brandon. Yeah. Can we go on the record and say that they're probably going to fast track Marco Luciano to the big leagues?
Yeah, we're like,
he's probably coming up quickly. But no, now he's with the Mets, and that's an interesting spot for him because I think
even guaranteed with the Mets,
right?
Third?
So he's gonna. So apparently the deal is he will play third base.
Right.
They will keep
Lindor
at short, right? He's not gonna go play second, right? So at this point, like. The Mets lineup looks like it's going to be. You know what the Mets look like? The Mets lineup looks like what we. Yeah. Their Mets lineup looks like what we viewed the Mariners lineup at the beginning of last year.
They still have Bobby Bonilla under contract.
Yep, and they still got Bobby Bo, so why not?
$1 million a year. That's nothing.
We'll see what happens, but I guess my question is, if Correa's deal ends up happening. Is that going to be good from the hobby side? Because I'll tell you my concern here is that if they're having issues with a physical, people in the hobby have started collecting that way. If a guy looks like he's injury prone or might have an injury possibility, a lot of times what do? They'll shy over him a little bit.
Yes, they will. But my thing with Correa is that something's obviously got to be going on. And I know it's a past knee injury, but for him to fail or have questionable 2 physicals, that to me raises a big red flag. Like, that's not just like, oh, this guy's got a bad knee or whatever. Like, that's kind of a red flag to me. So I'm interested to see what happens with this because it's the wording in the contract. Right. Something's going on more to the story.
Well,
if you're there's 30 teams in the major league, all the GMs. If the Giants are like, well, man, we don't trust the physical, and then the Mets were like so quick to sign him, but then they got the physical, and then they're like, wait a minute, his knee is that bad, but you didn't trust the Giants at all.
Medical staff. Yeah. I mean, what is he doing in these physicals? Is he like every time he goes to a run or something? He's like wincing or like how's that physical
take
look?
An X-ray of it and see that it probably didn't heal properly.
Well, and there's the
$15 million knee apparently.
And there's the thing that we come back to maybe know is a situation with him leaving the Astros because the Astros really didn't press hard to keep him.
Right.
The Astros
go pretty fast.
They were willing to let him go, and everybody wants to say, well, they had Jeremy Pena in waiting. Jeremy Pena, they would have put him in the outfield. They would have done whatever.
He was
right. They would have done something with him.
You should have the guys take a physical here before they get hired.
Oh God!
At GameDay.
Yes. I would have no employees.
That's so funny.
Well, no, we already stood on the scale back there. It made me feel bad about myself. Don't worry. Please, a physical? Jeez.
Wanted to talk really quick some product that came out this last week that I think there's a good investment opportunity in. The Topps Chrome and the Bowman Draft products both came out, but they came out together, and you got Bowman Draft. All eyes are on Bowman Draft right now because of all the firsts and all that stuff. And meanwhile, there's good value in the Bowman Chrome product, especially with them limiting the colorways. We ripped a case last night. Out of that, I think there was two silver refractors numbered to 199, and then there was probably the 2 blues, 1 green. There just wasn't a ton of color. 2 golds, like there wasn't a ton of color in there. My suggestion would be this might be an opportunity to start grabbing some of the cards like this, the blues, the true blues, the golds, any of that stuff of some of these top prospects.
Bowman Chrome and then Topps.
Right.
Update. Topps Chrome update.
Right. So this Topps Chrome update will give you an opportunity to snag some of these cards. I think for a long-term hold, if you believe in one of the rookies, if you believe in J-Rod, if you believe in C.J. Abrams, if you're a believer in, it's loaded class, right? So the product's loaded. Good value for you guys there. I think it's an opportunity for you to go out and to pick up some baseball right now that while everyone's worried about the Bowman draft product, you can go in and grab these. And the guys I'm talking about are the Stephen Kwans, the Seiya Suzuki's, right? And grab these, solid colors, that are nice. They're really hard to hit. So that's the thing that's going to come back on this product, is that people are going to look back at it and they're going to say, that stuff does not come by very often. Don't know how, and they're cut poorly too. So that's the other side, is if you're finding stuff that's centered nicely and gradable,
Topps Chrome update.
yeah, might be worth it.
I haven't opened it.
Oh, you haven't opened it.
So that's some sneaky stuff, because at this point of the football season, we don't have much to talk about. And basketball, we still are probably another month and a half out from really talking about investing towards playoff push. We're a little ways out to start discussing, that hobby and exactly where to be.
That coincides with the Super Bowl ending. Like, literally the Super Bowl's on the 13th, and then Valentine's Day is the 14th. And
it is.
So,
It literally, NBA, no one cares about the NBA until football season is over.
And then there was a holding call.
Dude, that was close. I was watching it.
Into the house, because as soon as he got to the 50, I was like, "Come on, get in there!"
Come on, they're chirping. Yeah, I was like.
Then there was a holding call. And they're back at like the 11.
But you have the rest of
hilarious,
you have the rest of his career, don't you?
No,
just this season.
He has 2 more weeks, and he's paying me $100.
Yeah.
So it can't happen in the playoffs either.
No, he said the season.
He said the season. Okay.
Yeah.
He didn't say
2 more weeks, and he's gonna give me $100 bill.
Hey, he did make the Pro Bowl, though. Hey, he did make the Pro Bowl.
He did make the Pro Bowl. You did say you said.
I mean, you do have to. Hey, you know what? I do want to say the guy did make the Pro Bowl at least. Like
the Pro Bowl,
the best in the NS.
The Pro Bowl game that they're not playing. He made that.
Yeah,
he made the make believe.
You
Pro
mean
Bowl
the
game
flag football? The flag football game?
Right.
Where's this gonna be all that?
Yeah, it's here. It's here.
In the Pro Bowl, they're not even gonna punt.
No one's gonna be able to get his flag though.
They're not. It's like 7-on-7.
Yeah.
All that's gonna happen is if someone gets injured playing this stupid shit, then they're gonna get rid of this too. Because if someone gets
the
injured
only
playing
thing
flag
I'm looking
football,
forward to, and I hope they really do a good job of this. I hope it's things like this. I hope the skills comp, like, grows in Vegas to where like you have the quarterback challenge at the Bellagio fountains. Or like, I want to see stuff like that.
I would rather see that than a flag football game.
Right? That's what I want. I want to see these skill comps.
Skills comps.
Like, I want to see the fastest man. I want to see him. I want to see him run from like MGM to Bellagio. Like,
something.
Like
Jimmy
let everybody. Yeah,
Jimmy's
definitely.
I am out of all competition.
It lingers.
Soft tissue issues linger.
All right, before we wrap today, game coming up tonight: Chargers, Colts. I got Chargers.
I'm giving you a lock right now, but I'm putting all my money on it. Every dollar bill that I have in my pocket.
Oh boy.
Uh-oh.
On what bet?
He's putting
$800
on
800.
Is it a straight bet or a parlay?
Chargers money line.
Chargers money line $800. Jimmy's
800
got
to
the
get
Chargers tonight. Who do you got?
Get 400.
I have the Chargers.
You got Chargers.
$400
You got Chargers tonight too.
Is it 3.5 or is it 3?
Right now it is 3.5, but Chargers are minus 190. But depends on what.
I would take the Colts if I'm getting the hook.
What about the over under? I'd say over.
What is the over under right now?
44.5.
Ooh, 44.5.
Where's a game where like Herbert's gonna throw like 300?
26 to 17.
He's got to have one of those games. He hasn't had really.
24-21 is a winner.
Yeah, 24-21.
I'll take the over.
All right, $800 on the over and the Chargers money line.
Look at that.
Don't parlay it.
He's parlaying it.
Straight
He
in.
is
Straight
parlaying it.
I was
He's-
thinking the over, and then when you just said that, it locked it in.
Guys, it's the
40,
degenerate
46.
hour. Degenerate hour on the Game Day Huddle.
The degenerate hour. Don't worry.
It is. What else do we have? What product this week?
Mosaic, first off the line football should be here. Sometime, thank God we're finally getting another football product. We haven't had one in about 3 weeks since
Classic.
Classic.
Classic. Yeah.
Not much of a product.
Classic.
But NFL Mosaic's coming out, and then we're going to get a great run of football coming up here towards the end of January. So.
Yep. And now that we have an idea of the 22 class and how it's settling out a little bit, there's definitely some stuff to chase in there. Especially from the receiver side.
Wide receiver side.
It's just nuts.
Yes.
There's good running backs in it too, which is, so you got that. The quarterback class not so strong. We still don't know what we got with Ritter, right?
You still got 3 guys that you can chase in there. You know Pickett's the head of the class there.
Mm-hmm.
You still have Ritter, who's I saw he was playing. I didn't know if he did.
He played okay, actually. I thought he made a couple of good throws.
Purdy's going to be in it.
Purdy will be in it, which he's playing phenomenal. He's playing better than Ritter and Malik Willis. Malik Willis, I'm a little sketched out on.
And Sam Corral will be back next year, and he is going to get a shot Matt Corral is going to get a chance to start next year. He's going to get a chance to start. They're going to draft somebody and give a chance to start. I don't see them.
Matt Corral's going to start in Carolina.
Who are they going to sign next year?
Sam
Darnold.
Darnold.
Draft.
Well, okay, Sam Darnold's there, but what I'm saying, he's going to get a chance still to win the spot.
If Sam Darnold gets the Carolina Panthers to the playoffs, Sam Darnold will be the starter next year in Carolina.
I mean, he probably should be.
Right.
Right? But I think he's going to have a chance to start. So, again, there's some hits in there for sure, but the skill position players are not.
It's receivers.
It is. All right, we are heading off. Thank you guys so much. Of course, we will see you guys next week. And then, actually, we won't. We will not be on next week because that will be New Year's Day.
We'll be taking that off.
Well, that will be the second, but it'll be that Monday after. So, so we will not be on for the first. And we're talking about kind of restructuring a little bit, and we'll figure it out. So, all right, guys, thanks for being here. And, of course, take us out.
Let's go monster hunting.
Let's go.